In life's journey, we must seek to reflect, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Road to Rediscovery with your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them and to take it to the next level and help others who are struggling through dark times. My special guest is an intuitive transitional life coach. She is also a grief coach and certified Reiki healer. With her heart and passion for inspiring and empowering others, she's impacted the lives of so many, helping them find the peace, purpose, and their inner power after losing a loved one. We're going to hear more about her and her amazing organization, Finding Peace Within Life After Loss. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Rochelle Lee Evans. Hey, Rochelle, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, AJ. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to have you. Absolutely. So, Rochelle, let's go ahead and just dive into it. If you can share with the listeners a little bit of your background, where you're from, and what was life like for Rochelle growing up?
Great question, AJ. I am a native of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an only child. And growing up in San Francisco, it's a beautiful city, of course,
Yes.
and really grateful being able to grow up there. I had spent a lot of time with family and friends, which I love dearly. I love growing up. It was a great time for me. This is like I was born in the late 50s, early 60s. And that was a good time for me growing up. I was able to have a lot of freedom. My mom would just give me a lot of freedom, and it was just great. As I got older, though, I decided that I wanted to go into the nursing field.
Okay.
And so I just retired about 3 years ago, but I spent 42 years in the nursing field in a psychiatric lockdown facility. And I tell you, there was never a dull moment.
Oh, I'm sure there wasn't.
Never.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment. But, I'm really grateful for that, because what that did, that allowed me to be able to help those in need.
Yes.
I've always been the type of person who's been a giver.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started giving at the age of 11. I started, and these were with my friends, and they would have problems like with their family. They come from families who were parents of alcoholics.
Right.
And so I was always the problem solver. I always wanted to try to solve my friends' problems, and I supported them totally. And that was very rewarding too. And so growing up, as I said, as I got older, I became an adult. I decided I wanted to go into the nursing field. So I did. And during this time, my mom was sick too. I worked at a well-known hospital, and my mom, she had all kinds of ailments at the time. And I was her caregiver. I took care of my mom. I took care of her no matter what it was like. One of the things, AJ, that I'm really grateful for is the fact that during that time, my mom, I worked night shift. First of all, I worked night shift.
Right.
And it was 11 to 7:30 in the morning. And my mom would call the job 2-3 o'clock every day, because things were beginning to progress. And when I did that and I spoke with her, she'd get on the phone, she'd be like, Rochelle, baby, come home now, come home. I can't breathe. I can't move. And I'd be like, Mom, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And what happened was I told my supervisor, and through grace, she said, Rochelle, just go ahead. I got you covered. Now, keep in mind that this had went on for about 3-4 years. This had went on.
Okay.
So finally, what wind up happening was I had to put my mother in a nursing home, which was only about 20 minutes away from me.
Okay.
And I would always go see her. And, my mom, besides God, my mom, she was my rock.
Oh, yeah.
She was my inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
She, it's like when her life ended, my life began. There was a lot of pain. The thing I was most grateful for through this whole process, I still had a lot of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I had this gratitude was because I knew that she would be okay.
Yes.
I didn't have a shadow of a doubt whether she was or not. I knew. It's something when you know something as opposed to wondering.
Right.
So I knew, and it was because of my spirituality and my love for her that I knew that she was going to be okay. There was numerous times she spent in the hospital.
Right.
I'd take off work for about a month, and I would go and see her every day.
Right.
Now, I have a son and 2 grandsons, and my son used to say, Mom, I'm worried about you because you're never here. Every day you're at the hospital. But it's like,
right.
Yes, I'm okay. And I didn't have the greatest experiences at the hospital with my mom. One of the things I didn't know, being in the nursing field, I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this, but my mom, she would be sick, and I walk in the hospital, and when I walked in, the nurse was giving care to her, but she wasn't giving the right care to her. And I knew this.
Yes.
And so I made corrections and talked to the nurse. I mean, I had to tell the staff, all the staff, and call the supervisor and let them know and put in many complaints. But I knew how some hospitals were, I've seen a lot being in the nursing field too.
Yes.
And so, I just need to take care of my mom no matter what. And so I did. So I stayed there every day. My mother, she used to crack me up because sometimes when I walk in, she's like, my daughter, I'm going to tell my daughter she's going to take care of it. And I'll be like, yep,
Yeah,
you got that right.
That's right.
I'm going to take care of it.
Got to look
I'm
out for
take
mom.
Care of mom. Yes, it's nobody like your mom. So
no one.
Yeah, so like I said, through the whole process, I was really grateful for that. And then one day, I had got a call. So this came about where I had got a call. She had been in the home for about 3 or 4 months. And I get a call from a doctor. And the doctor says, Miss Evans, I hate to tell you this, but your mother is gone. And I remember just screaming to the top of my lungs. And my son, he came rushing in. He's like, Mama, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah.
And I said, Mama's gone. And he took the phone from me, talked to the doctor.
Okay.
And it was just like suddenly, I knew this day was coming. I just didn't know when.
Right.
My mom, I was giving her like 20 medications a day. And so, one of my biggest prayers during that time was that me being the only child and me being able to take care of my mother, I would pray, Lord, just not let anything happen to me.
Right.
So I can take care of her.
Yes.
And through his grace, he did. He did. I'm just so grateful. I'm still grateful today. And I think my gratitude kept me in a place of humbleness,
Yeah.
And so I chose afterwards, not too long after, I decided to retire. And so I had already been working with women. So just to give you a little bit more of my background besides the nursing.
Sure.
I had worked in one of the most, I would say, the most upright women's facility ever known. And then this was in the 90s, the late 90s.
Okay.
And I worked as a counselor. And these were young women who were trying to work on getting their life back. And they were on drugs and alcohol. So this was actually the only women's program in San Francisco recovery program. It was an 18-month program.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it so much. I wound up being there 10 years prior to going into being hired in the hospital.
Oh
So
my,
yes, it was
really?
great. I love us women. We are the crop, the top of the crop, should I say?
Yes.
Because we do everything, AJ. We do. I mean, just everything. We have a way of multiplying. And when I say multiplying, we do many tasks, we wear many hats, we take care of our children, we take care of our husbands, those who we have, we take care of our family members. We're the president and CEO of our business. There's nothing that we can't do.
That's right.
And I've always felt that and believe that. This is why I say we're actually the top of the crop. Nobody can do what we do. And we're queens. We're queens. And I really feel honored and special working with the women that I do. So grateful, so humble.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so, yes, thank you. So, so what I decided to do, I decided through my own experience, I thought about, well, how many women, this was before the COVID, of course, it's like how many women are going through this here besides me, the loss, the pain, the tragedy,
right,
the unknowing. It's like, I've worked with women where they've lost their husbands and there's like, well, they've been a wife 40 years. They've been married 40 years.
Yeah.
Their children are adults now.
Right.
And they have to downsize, first of all. And it's like, well, my husband's taking care of all the bills. And the only thing I did was brought up my children and take care of my husband. That's all they knew. That was their identity. That's who they were. And so to have such a tragedy, and it's like, well, who am I?
Right.
And I went through that same thing of like, who am I? Because when my mother life ended, mine began with the question of, who am I? The only thing I knew at that time, AJ, that I was a child of God and a child of my mother's. I knew nothing else. And that's what started my journey, because I wanted to know who was Rochelle. I'd taken care of people my whole life, family and friends, until I seen them pass. And, I don't regret anything that I've done because that's what I do. I know without a shadow of a doubt that, and there's no perplexities with this, that I was given a gift. And with this gift, I was to live a life on purpose, with purpose. And that's what I choose to do today. And these beautiful queens, these beautiful women are my purpose. They are my purpose.
Understood. That's absolutely beautiful, Rochelle. And I really, really appreciate you sharing that with us. One thing, the queens are the top of the crop, right? They really are. And one thing that resonates with me that I wish I had a better instinct of, I guess you can say, is I feel just personally that women are so much in tune with their conscience, right? Their intuitive side. When something doesn't quite feel right, and you can't really explain physically what it is or why you feel this way, but you feel this way, and when you feel this way, you act on it. Whether it's something that you should tell somebody, or a decision that you should go in the opposite direction, or make the opposite choice of. Some people refer to it as your gut. And so I know there have been a lot of wives, mine included, who have really been so in touch with their intuitive side that if I was bent on making a decision to do a certain thing, and she she wasn't quite feeling it. She was suspicious of something.
Mm-hmm.
She's told me
Yes.
many times, hey, you may want to reconsider XYZ, and think about it. I don't think this part is too cool. And every time she was right. So I've learned to listen,
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
That's
learned
great.
I've
That's a
learned to
good
listen.
thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
can you and thank you, by the way, for opening yourself up and being vulnerable to share in detail how you went through caring for your mother and getting that phone call saying that your mother has passed. That's
Yeah.
never easy to tell or to share. Even years passed for some people. So I truly appreciate it. And I'd love to ask something about that if I can, Rochelle. And that's
Sure, of course.
you made a statement earlier about when you've served all these years, in the nursing field, caring for others and caring for your mother, of course, and having, I guess, some degree of loss of identity in doing your God given gift for helping others, and like you said, no regrets. But after your mom passed, you were asking yourself, "Who am I?" You knew you were a child of God, but who am I? Who is Rochelle? And you set out on that journey.
Yeah.
Can you explain for the listeners, if you can, how did that come about to where you asked yourself that question? I mean, how did you look past the grieving and the pain of losing your mother to rationally take that look in the mirror and ask, who am I? How did that happen?
That actually happened after my mother had passed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And life just showed up. There's storms that comes in our lives, and
Mm-hmm.
it has a way at times of altering our path.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely had altered my path. And I just felt in my spirit, the question just automatically came up. Who am I? And I'm grateful that it did, because I really didn't know who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't. Besides that, yet, but there's still a yet.
Yeah. So when you started
Yeah.
that journey, okay, obviously you're a woman of very strong faith, very high level of spirituality. When you started that journey, what was your mindset? I mean, how confident did you feel that you would find the answer to that question about who you are? Were you very confident? Did you have doubts? Because, mind you, you're still grieving over your mother,
Yeah.
and when you're trying to set a course for a goal or a destination or find an answer to a question in the middle of that grieving, I would imagine it would be quite a challenge and an obstacle for you.
Oh, yes, I definitely had my moments of obstacles and challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that had came up for me, I was determined. I knew that I had to find out who I was, because if I didn't, I'd be lost.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to survive. I wouldn't be able to live not knowing who I really was. And I mean, not just knowing who I was, but my authentic self.
Yes. And
And
share with us what that means, if you can.
authentic means that this is from the inside. It's not my outer appearance. It's
Right.
my inner being of who I am. I come to find out that I am a woman who loves life.
Mm-hmm.
I am a woman who loves people.
Mm-hmm.
I am a woman who gives, who serves, who has a lot of gratitude
Yes.
for life and the life that I live today, I wouldn't have never known these things about me had I not chose to pursue this. I mean, it's like being in hot pursuit of something you really desire. I
Right.
mean, it was really, really, it was emotional for me, but I don't know if you've ever been, AJ, in a place, or any of your audience ever been in a place where you know that at the end of the tunnel, it appears there's no hope. And I'm speaking to the hopeless right now.
Absolutely. That's right.
For those of you that are feeling hopeless, there is a catalyst. There is hope, even though it looks like it's at the end of the tunnel. And that's what helped and supported me. There was a moment where I still believed. I held on to my belief, and I didn't want to be overcome with defeat.
Right.
And so there was that catalyst, that hope that came from me, and I seen that hope. And when I seen that hope, it had me move from out of the position of that pain and to keep moving forward, knowing and hoping and believing, because sometimes that's all we have.
Right. Right. Also, knowing that your mother is at peace, knowing that she is in a much better place, that kind of helped you as well, right? In being able to move forward.
Oh, definitely. I remember I was doing well maybe the first 3 months.
Okay.
And I went to sleep one night. I remember this like it was yesterday. And it's so real as you and I are talking right now.
Right.
And I went to sleep and I woke up and I had this really heaviness I felt upon me. I said, well, I must have been in a deep sleep because I could just feel it. And I'm one who don't always remember my dreams.
Okay. Me neither, hardly.
Okay. So, but I happened to remember this particular dream. And I remember seeing my mother. And because one of the things I wanted to do was just to hold my mother one more time.
Yes.
Just one more time. And I seen her and I began to run to her. And then all of a sudden I stopped. And I said, God, is this real? I said, this is my mother over here. Is this real? And then my mother came towards me. And she just hugged me and told me she loved me.
Beautiful.
I don't want to start getting emotional, crying.
No, I understand.
It was just one of the moments. And when she did that, I knew then that I would be okay.
And everything's going to be all right.
Yes.
That's.
And so, yeah.
I tell you, that's breathtaking, Rochelle. It's beautiful, and it's that assurance, right? And there's angels. I truly believe there's angels that reveal themselves in one way or another to give you that peace, to give you that assurance, right? When you lose a loved one.
Definitely.
Definitely. And I feel that your faith, your level of faith and spirituality, that puts you in a position to receive that, to receive those messages and those types of visions when an angel comes to visit you, and the hugging of your mother and you to her and her to you. It's just absolutely beautiful, Rochelle. I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I also appreciate you sharing a couple statements you made earlier about, a message for the hopeless, right? There's always a catalyst, right? There's always hope.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's one of the hallmarks of the Road to Rediscovery. We talk about, number one, you are never alone. And number two, there is always hope. So,
always.
Yes, it sure is. So, Rochelle, let's talk about your company and the great work that your company is doing, the great work that you're doing in helping these queens transform themselves, realize their potential, right? And not only survive,
Yes,
but to thrive, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so the
Inspired from your
name,
journey, right?
exactly. This
All
all
right.
came from my experience, my journeys, and knowing that I'm not alone.
Yes.
And so, knowing this, what I did, I created a 6-month program
Mm-hmm.
specifically for women.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of my program is Finding Peace Within Life After Loss.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is life after loss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a living witness to it. I'm here and I'm living and I'm thriving. And so I knew that this was my purpose. When I had said earlier that I'm living life with purpose, on purpose, this is it. These beautiful women that come that has a lot of pain,
Yes.
a lot of tragedy. I know, and I believe it's like, even if I didn't know you, what comes though is our experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's the connection,
Yes.
is our experience. I don't have to know you.
That's right.
But you know, and we know that we experience the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the connection. I mean, I love to get to know everyone, of course.
Sure.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so this, like I said, this is a 6-month program.
Okay.
And what I've done, I created specific modalities through my experience,
Mm-hmm.
several of them, to help with my assistance, with my support, with my love for them, is to propel them where they move from out of the pain to a place of peace.
Yes.
Not only peace for themselves, but peace for their family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just to give you an example, is we first start off with identification. That's the first thing.
Right.
Because there's times that, we automatically feel the fear. But really, what's up under that fear? What is that source up under that fear? And can you identify that?
Right.
Because if you can identify it, and when it comes up again, you'll know what it is. So identification, to be able to identify what you feel, not that they have to do anything with it at that moment,
Right.
but just being able to identify it. And so we go through a process of starting out with that. And the goal and the end result of this is their healing. For them to be able to heal. And
Yes.
it's a process through healing. I know for me, my healing was, to just be able to acknowledge that my mom was gone in the beginning. Because like I said, I worked night shift. So when I got off work and I got home, I'd be running up the steps and I'd be saying, Mama, Mama, Mama.
Yeah.
And then it just dawned on me. It's like, she's not here. She's not here. And it's like, wow, okay. So that's part of the healing too, though, is being able to, go through different techniques, different tools. So one of them that I like using is meditation. Mm-hmm. Meditation is great if you're able to calm the mind and focus on what your intention is.
Right.
And there's different ways of meditating. Some people like music. Some people like just peace, tranquility.
Right.
And so I have them use different tools, as I said, because there's more than just that. Some of the women may choose they want to write. Maybe they lost their loved ones and they weren't able to say what they wanted to say. Right. But they're able to write it out. And so these are the different things that I utilize. And my hope is that with this, that not only is it for them to be able to heal, but possibly live a new way of life.
I
You know,
got you. I got you.
to have
Understood.
that freedom, to have that peace.
Yeah. And when they have that freedom and that peace, then they can start to live, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They know who
Yes.
they
You're on
are.
the mark.
They know who they are. They have the tools to find peace. And when they achieve it, then they can live. So,
Yeah.
in your work that you've done with so many of these queens, Rochelle, um, everyone takes a different amount of time to work through the problems and the troubles before finding peace or before getting on the course on the path, right?
Yeah.
How can you tell in your professional opinion with your background and everything? How can you tell when someone you're working with is there's progress that they're either closer to or have achieved peace and acceptance, I should say, helping them overcome that tragedy.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
One is that they're in a whole different place where they have acceptance. They talk about acceptance. They're not only
good.
talking about it, but they're showing it. They're
They're showing
actually
it.
living it.
Nice.
They're living.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
You know, what they may felt before or seen before, it doesn't affect them the way it used to.
I see. I see.
There's signs. Yeah.
Yeah, there are signs, and you're very keen into detecting when those signs reveal themselves, to ascertain if someone you're working with has achieved that peace or they're on the path towards peace and acceptance. I really appreciate that. That's tremendous insight, Rochelle. They're talking. They're not just talking about
Mm-hmm.
acceptance, but it shows in what they do. It shows in their actions.
Yeah.
It shows in how they're living now, and you can tell a significant difference from how they are now, or from
Yes.
how they were when you first met them to how
Mhm.
they are now. Right?
Definitely. You can see it, and
Yeah.
you know, they they may have been at one time where they're constantly crying. They're not crying, or
Right.
there's a smile on their face. They can talk about things
Yes.
now, and
Yes.
yes, definitely. And that's the part where my intuitive comes in at,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, in utilizing with them, and it's a gift because I've known times when women share things and they
Right.
may not quite know everything, but I can feel or just knowing, and then I'll ask them about it, and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's the part that was missing. Yeah, Rochelle." And so that there, yeah, it's wonderful. I'm so grateful for this gift that I can just tap into
Yes.
a part that they may not see,
Yes.
and bring it up and support them with. I
G-
love it. I just love it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you do such a great job with it. I can tell and I can feel it in my heart of hearts that you do
Mhm.
wonderful work and you transform and change lives of so many, leading them to acceptance and peace over their hardship. So I'd
Yeah.
like to ask you, Rochelle, have you ever had an instance where someone you have worked with has suffered a relapse? Let's say you were helping them in overcoming a tragedy, and they gained acceptance of that, and they were starting on the path to peace.
Yes.
And you've continued working with them, and then after you start working with them, because after you stop working with them, and they're on that path towards peace, another tragedy hits them, and it just
Mm.
basically sends them in a tailspin,
Yeah.
leading
Yeah.
back to the original state that they were in. Have you ever had anything like that? And if so, do you have tools and practices that can help people not just achieve peace, but to sustain peace?
Yes. I have experience with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like having an addiction when you relapse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one of the things I always say to the women when things come up, when it becomes too difficult, too challenging,
Mm-hmm.
just step back for a moment. But
Mm-hmm.
when somebody else, in this example, say they have another family member
Mm-hmm.
who suddenly passes away.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, it's okay. Let them know they're in a safe place. It's still okay.
Mm-hmm.
I validate what they feel first,
Mm-hmm.
because their feelings are real. It's their feeling.
Yep. Sure are.
I allow them to speak their truth, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very patient person too, because I know what it's like. When you experience something and you know what it's like, you're able to support that person even more.
Yes.
And so it's like I have also what I call the reset button. And this reset button is like, we're going to reset this and we're going to just go right on back to where it feels comfortable for you. And kind of go through like what happened. It's then once again to be able to identify
Mm-hmm.
what came up, whether it was fear, anger,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may have been,
Mm-hmm.
that you had chosen just in that moment, because it was just a moment that we have to make a decision on something. So what did that look like? What did that feel like?
Yeah.
And we just go back from there. We start from there. And let them have their process of their feelings.
Right.
Whether they feel hurt or whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm. Reset button, huh?
Yeah, I got a reset button.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love the essence and meaning behind that reset button, and I appreciate you sharing your tools and how you work with people to sustain and maintain that level of peace, and what to do if there's ever a setback, right? Because setbacks are all a part of life, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a setback to come back.
Oh,
You can
absolutely.
come back.
Setback to come back. Yeah, we sure can.
That's it.
We sure can.
Yeah.
And I've also heard a phrase that someone said that in the deepest, darkest of times, when you feel like you're being buried, that is really when you're being planted, right?
Yes. Yes.
Planted to grow and to sprout and to blossom, right?
It.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, it sure is. So, Rochelle, how can the listeners connect with you and learn more about the amazing work that you're doing?
Okay, so I'm getting ready to start the program on the 26th of March, but I still work with women before then.
Okay.
So that they can reach me at my email address, and I will spell it out because it's a little long. It's babycakesllc@gmail.com. But let me just spell it.
Okay.
It's BABEKESLLC@gmail.com.
Gotcha. Okay. We will definitely include that with the proper spelling in the episode show notes so that people can connect with you and reach out to you for any help or support that they need.
Oh, definitely.
Wonderful.
I'm here. Definitely here for them.
Well, thank you so much, Rochelle. Man, I have had such a joy chatting with you. I truly have. And I feel the energy from your heart. I feel your genuine, authentic heart for service and passion for service. It speaks and bodes loudly in your 40 plus years in nursing and, of course, caring for your mother, and now the great work that you're doing in caring for others. So I really appreciate you being on the show, Rochelle.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. So at this time, I'd like to go into a segment where I call 3 for the Road, Rochelle. And in 3 for the Road, I challenge my listeners to answer 3 random yet thought-provoking questions in 5 words or less. So what do you say? You think you're up for it?
Oh, okay. That's different. Sure.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. All right, so 3 for the road, 5 words or less. And by the way, these are custom questions. They're not cookie cutters. I don't ask the same question for every guest. These are 3 custom questions based on your professionalism, your experience, and your background. Okay? All right, so here we go.
All right.
Question number 1 for 3 for the road. Why or why not is peace the same thing for everyone?
Peace is for everyone. It may come in different ways of peace.
Gotcha.
They shall know.
Okay. Peace is for everyone. It may come in different ways. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's beautiful. Well stated. All right. Question number 2. I'm going to give you a scenario, okay?
All righty.
Okay, here we go. You are queen of the world. Queen of the world. And you rule over all things. But you only get to have one law to establish. What would that law be?
That's a great question. The law that I would establish would be for the women that they never give up
Gotcha.
on their dreams.
Never give up on their dreams.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I love it. Love it. All right. Question number 3 to wrap us up for 3 for the road, Rochelle. Here it goes. This one's easy. Fill in the blank. Okay? All right. So fill in the blank. My mind is at ease when
My mind is at ease when I meditate.
meditate. That is one simple word that says and means so very much and has such a great impact on our mind, our spirit, and our body. I love it. My mind is at ease when I meditate. Oh, man. Well, Rochelle, congratulations. You knocked it out of the park. You did great for 3 for the road.
All right.
Yeah. And thanks again for coming on the show. Let's stay in touch, okay? I would love to catch up with you in about 6 months or so. If you'd love to give the listeners an update on, any new projects that you've launched, any new programs that you're launching, love to have you back on the show.
All right, definitely. I definitely got some more ideas. So yes, I shall. Thank you so much.
Oh no, you're
and
very
your audience, of course.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you. We reciprocate, and we are very grateful for your time on the show here as well, Rochelle. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And by the way, if you have a chance, please remember to subscribe and review the show anywhere you listen to your podcast, either on Apple Podcasts, I'm on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Libsyn, Spreaker, anywhere you listen to your shows. Would love to hear your feedback. Would love to have you subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean so much to me. And more importantly, if you know someone who is or appears to be at the end of their rope with nowhere to turn, no direction to go to, no way to make a decision, just feeling as if they are hopeless, I really, really hope and ask that you share this show with them. Because on the road to rediscovery, we always want people to know 2 things. Number 1, you are not alone. And number 2, there is always, always hope. The road to rediscovery, it's a movement, a revolution. And guess what? You are now part of it. We're all roadies on this journey of life, and it sure feels good having you on the road with me. Thanks again for listening. We'll chat again soon.
The Road to Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production.